Hello, welcome to the Being Aro Ace series part 4. Previously, we've done a couple educational videos talking about aromanticism and asexuality. And now I'm going to do a couple videos where I go into my personal experiences. And I'm going to start with how I figured out I was Aro Ace to start with. And then I'm going to do talk more about how it's kind of been experiences throughout life and how it's been part of it. So I have never had a reason. Also, actually, before I start, this is going to be basically pure audio. Nothing really is going to happen on screen. This is just what it's going to be. So you really don't have to be like watching it. So I don't know what to put on screen, honestly. So as I was about to say, I've never had a reason throughout my life really to like question my orientation. It never really came up. There was really never any motivation for me personally to like look stuff up or do like research or like think about if I was straight or not. I simply assumed that I was straight, that I was living the average straight experience of life, really. Because I didn't seem to be attracted to other girls, so then I figured, well, you're straight, gay, or bi, basically, and I didn't seem to fit gay or bi, so I defaulted into straight. Again, I didn't really do research. I had no idea that there were other options. I just defaulted into straight because, well, nothing else fit, so I guess. But then in like January 2015, I don't know if it was December 2014 it started, but around January 2015, so pretty much exactly 6 years ago at this point, when I was 23 and like 10 months or something, so basically 24, when I think I was watching, I'd found BuzzFeed videos somehow on YouTube, and there were some videos that were called like stuff that people say to bisexual women or bisexual men, and it was like I was watching those, and like it was really interesting, and I was just like, why would people say this to other people? Like, I don't understand. But and so I must have watched a bunch of that because YouTube was recommending me other videos, right? And one of them, I'm pretty sure, was a video on asexuality. And I think that eventually I clicked on it. Now, I have literally zero memories at all of that video. Just absolutely nothing. But there must have been something in it because I started to research asexuality more. And I came across the book The Invisible Orientation by Julie Sondra Decker, which I bought and read digitally, and then I also bought a physical copy so that I could like loan it to friends and stuff. So it must have been really good. I say must have because I don't really remember much of the book 6 years later, but it must have been pretty good. And then I also found the Tumblr asexual and primarily the asexual community because that's what I started with. So I found the asexual community on Tumblr and I thought it was really good. So I like revived an old Tumblr account, or my only old Tumblr account, and like followed a bunch of blogs and really read a lot and was like invested there. And it was really good. At least back then, when I was there in 2015, it was a really good community. Like there were a lot of active blogs, like people asking questions, answering questions, writing about experiences and educational and stuff like that. Like from what I remember, it was really good. Nowadays, I don't know, but it might be that people, I don't know how active it is or what blogs to look for. Might also be that the Reddit communities are more active today than Tumblr, and there are other places too, but I only really know about the Tumblr and Reddit communities personally. The Reddit one is pretty good last I checked. So, my first reaction to reading my sexuality was, oh my god, that is super cool. Like, I wish I was that, or like, I hope I am that. And then right after, I was like, ooh, that's kind of an iffy reaction. That doesn't feel completely okay. That kind of feels like I'm like diminishing and like, I don't know. That doesn't feel okay. I don't know if I can exactly explain it, but ooh, that was an iffy reaction. It definitely, I felt like I was like, the straight person was like, oh my god, it sounds so cool, like being like the quirky fad. Like, maybe I should try that. Like, that's what I felt like I came off to myself as. And I was like, ooh, okay, that's not okay. That is not what this is. I need to back up. So I was really wary about like, I did research, but I was really wary about like, ooh, but like, okay, I don't know if this is me, and I only want to in that case call myself asexual if I'm like 110% sure, because I felt like, well, what if I hurt the community somehow by like, by, I don't know, being disrespectful in some way that I'm not fully aware of, but because of that reaction where I was like, oh, this is like a cool fad, but like, no, it's like a real thing, a real orientation with like real people, and sadly for some of those people there are negative consequences. Like, why are you diminishing that? So I was very like, okay, that's not okay. I need to be really careful, but it's really interesting. So let me do research, and like, if it fits, it fits, but like, be careful. That was how I was thinking about it. And so I'm pretty sure I read everything. It was in the middle of writing my bachelor's my bachelor's thesis. Um Whatever. And then I had one friend in particular that I talked to about everything. And like, she like knows that she's like definitely like, she's straight. She's like, you know, experiencing things. And I talked to her about everything, and she's been like, she was so good. And I think it was primarily through her that I've eventually like realized, when she was like, no, like, I feel like sexual attraction is a real thing that I actually like physically feel in my body. And I was like, wait, hold up. Wait, what? You mean that sexual attraction is a real thing that like other humans actually feel? Like, legit feel in their body? Like, when you know that you are feeling sad, like, you can actually pick out that there's a specific feeling that like, I don't know how to like emphasize enough that for me this was like, this is really, you like physically actually for real, like in your brain, in your body, feel a specific feeling that is sexual attraction, like for real, actually. And yeah, that was an eye-opener, because that blew my mind. And kind of low-key freaks me out to this day that I'm like, other people like feel things. That's, oh, oh goodness. Like, if I think about it too hard, I'm like, oh my goodness. So that's when I realized that, yes, you know what? There's just like, there is no doubt I am very, very asexual. Like, if I wasn't, this would not be a mind-blowing revelation that sexual attraction is like real and not like, I don't know, and like a made-up exaggeration by Hollywood. Like, no. Very asexual here. Hi, hello, yes. All right. And I was like, it was kind of a straightforward journey. I was very excited about doing the research and learning about it. Everything made sense to me that I read about, like the split attraction model and everything. And it like, it blew my mind that like, I was like, oh, I wasn't, all right, so I was not living the average straight experience of life. I was actually living a like, a not average experience of life. What? So yeah, that was, I'm gonna say it took me a couple weeks probably from start to finish. Now I was like, yeah, I'm very sexual. Absolutely 100% yes. I didn't necessarily tell everyone, because I'd also read about some of the negative stuff that what should I say, that people meet with, or comments and stuff. So I wasn't necessarily like, oh, I need to tell everyone, but I mean, normal, I'm pretty sure. But I felt like it, when I realized that, I was like, oh, then no, but this makes sense. Like, and I'm like, I'm proud to be asexual. Like, yes. Wary, but proud. Also, while I was doing the research there, I did run into, so to speak, aromanticism, because there is a lot of overlap, of course, or there is a lot of overlap between the communities. And since both communities use the split attraction model, it is often, for example, mixed in conversation and stuff like that. So I had briefly seen a romantic, and I mean different romantic orientations, but I was like, okay, let me focus on like sexual orientation. That's what I'm like focusing on right now. And then I was sort of like, okay, I was very at first like, I'm absolutely not a romantic. It's just impossible. But let me like read about it, because like it keeps popping up. I don't know exactly what my logic was, but like I guess like let me read about it, because like it keeps coming up, and like it's, you know, related. And also like, oh well, I mean, I guess I'll, you know, look into some things and see if I can figure my romantic orientation, which again I was like, well, it has to be heteroromantic, right? Like I'm the average straight experience. Like, what else would there be? And again, I was also very like, no, but like I like romance. I've had boyfriends. Like I love Jane Austen's novels. Like I can't be aromantic. Like that was definitely harder, because I was like, no, but like romance is like important, and like I can't be aromantic. Like, ooh, that's I don't know. I like romance. I can't. But then as I was reading more, I got more afraid of being it, which I'm guessing now might have been a reaction to like I can sort of relate to it, because like again, it made sense, like all the theory that, you know, this would exist. But my reaction to asexuality was like excitement, but my reaction first to aromanticism was fear. I do not want to be this. Please, God, let me not be aromantic, basically, which is like a very sad reaction to have, of course. I just absolutely did not. And I continued talking to the same friend, and she was very like, well, like listening to me, like giving me her perspective, like what she was, you know, how she experienced life, and always being like, well, like I can't tell you what you are, because I was probably being like, I'm not aromantic, right? And she was like, I can't tell you what you are, like you are the only one who can know, obviously. So I know that eventually I wrote all of my thoughts about it down in like a long, I think like a Google Doc or something, but like long. I want to remember it as 30 pages, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't that long. But long, like everything I could think of that had like anything remotely to do with like my like aromanticism in my life, or like romantic orientation, whatever, in my life and everything. And I had with my second boyfriend that just briefly, that, or I'm gonna talk about it briefly, but go into it more in the another video. But a period where towards the end where I was like, okay, the same friend, she with her boyfriend, she was like, I love him, like romantically. And I was like, okay, but you know, like how do you know that you do that though? Because I was starting to feel more and more like, I don't know why I started thinking about it, but like, okay, but like, aren't I supposed to like feel that I romantically am in love with him, because that's why I'm here, right? And well, Hollywood movies, you're supposed to feel that. It's supposed to like basically consume your entire being, which I mean, not healthy, but and I voiced my concerns to him. I voiced my concern, you know, to my friends, and everyone was like, no, but like we can like feel that you are romantically in love with him, because basically you are behaving like you are. And I was like, okay, so I'm behaving affectionately and like in a sense displaying the correct behavior for romantic feelings, but then why can't I feel it? And that had been like a big thing. And so I think probably also being like, oh, but if I'm aromantic, then it means I actually didn't feel romantic feelings for him, which made me afraid. I'm like, oh, so I'm a horrible person. I'm like a cold-hearted bitch. I'm just stringing him along. Like, does that mean that I'm like a horrible person? Like, I'm a bad person? And like, I don't want to be a bad person. So I think that was probably also something that fueled my fear. I was like, I can't be a romantic. Like, please, no. I was writing everything down. And I know that at least I know that one night, I was just all the probably while I was writing, like all that fear was just there, and I remember that I probably I cried myself to sleep or whatever, cried that night just out of that fear. I was just like, no, 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 please, God, no. Um, but then my memories now are that the day after when I woke up, which might be not be exactly what happened, but not too long after that, when I'd written everything down, I'd like really cried over it and stuff. And the next morning, or a couple days later, whatever, I was just like, nah, I'm Aro, and that's pretty cool. I'm good. Like, so I'm guessing I got everything out, and then I was like, no, you know what? And reading more about it and research, I was like, no, you know what? I'm good. I am Aro, and it's fantastic. It is awesome. I am proud to be Aro. I can probably also, because when in the aromantic community, they talk a lot about amatonormativity, the thing that like romantic relationships are like the pinnacle of life, what you should always be striving for, and so a lot of discussion around that also kind of helped me, I think, separate that like I'm interested in romance like in media, but I'm not sure that like, do I really want it in real life, or is it like projected onto me that I should want it? So because like Western society, which is the only like only cultures that I can speak on, pushes romantic and sexual feelings really hard. And you can get things like, oh, but that's what makes us human, to have sexual feelings or romantic feelings or a combination. And like I said, like normativity, romance should always be strived for. Having a romantic relationship is heteronormative, monogamous, preferably. That's like the pinnacle of existence, the meaning of life. That's what you should strive for 24/7, basically. And if you're not in a romantic relationship, then you're worth less as a human. You're somehow like beneath everyone else in some sort of social hierarchy, and everyone is like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Oh, your life must be so sad. You must be like have no happiness, and like, oh, let me like, oh, but I'm sure you're gonna find someone. Let me set you up with someone, and yada yada. Like it's very pushed, I should say. So having to realize that you do not experience especially romantic feelings, but also sexual feelings, can be very scary, because then it's like, oh, am I not human then? Am I worth less? Like just intrinsically, am I worth less? Am I a lesser human? Am I like broken? Like am I and am I a cold-hearted bitch? Am I just a bad person? Some people also I've seen, they seem to be like, "Oh, you don't experience romantic feelings? Do you have any emotions at all?" And I'm just like, "What is the logic? Like I can be sad without romance attached to it. Like what do you mean?" Like I just that's weird. But that's what I mean. Like some you can have those fears, and I'm pretty sure my fears were anchored in that, where I was like, no, but like romance is like super important. Like if I don't have romantic feelings, like am I just nothing? Like am I worthless? Like no, absolutely not. It can't happen. So I just want to point out, be really clear, romantic and sexual feelings are not the core of what makes anyone human. Being human is a very complex. There's a lot of things. That's not the sole criteria for if you're human or not. Not experiencing romantic or sexual feelings doesn't mean that you're emotionless, that you're cold-hearted, that you're a horrible person. Like, your actions determine if you're a good or bad person, not if you experience romantic feelings or not in your life. And you're not worth less than any other human if you do not experience romantic or sexual like feelings. Or if you're like not in a romantic relationship, no matter your orientation, if you're single, you are not like just magically less worth than other humans, or you have to be sad all the time, or all that bullshit we need to get rid of. I can go on a long tangent about that, but yes, being aromantic and asexual doesn't make you less than anyone. It doesn't make you better than anyone. It just means that you have a different experience of life, just like frankly every human has. Every human is a combination of lots of things, lots of different parts of their identity, and that's what makes your perspective on life. Like, everyone sees the world a little differently, and that's good. We should learn from each other. Yeah, so that's how I figured out I was Aro Ace. It took me like maybe 1-2 months or something like that to like start reading about it, getting through it, processing it, and accepting it. For many people, it takes much longer. And I didn't have a very long period of being like afraid of being Aro, for example, but I know that there are people who struggle with that for a very long time, and no one should have to struggle. Any identity should have to struggle with feeling wrong or broken, or any orientation. So I'm grateful that my figure out journey was pretty like uneventful and like positive, really, because in the end I am proud of being Aro Ace. Like, it's empowering for me to know that about myself. I can make better informed choices for myself now because I understand myself. But some people aren't proud, and that's no fault of their own. Like, some people just don't like being who they are, and I hope that that's, of course, for everyone just temporary, that you can be proud of yourself. I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of everyone who's Aro Ace or any orientation, really. Like, just, it's not a big deal. In a sense, we're all different, and that's a good thing. Yes, so that's it for this video, and next I'm going to, at some point, talk about one video about my personal experiences being aromantic, and like how that's in hindsight maybe manifested through my life, and then a separate video with the same topic of being asexual.